saw a really sweet picture of you and Liam, and it's all will they, won't they? Are they walking down the aisle? I see that. It probably will be soon. I see the ring on your finger. Are wedding bells in your future?
I'm wearing a ring, so.
Celebrities cross paths with their exes in public, it becomes more than an awkward encounter. It becomes a cultural event. Fans dissect body language, gossip columns replay every second, and social media explodes with memes. But beneath the spectacle lies a deeper truth. Reunions with old flames expose something universal. Whether you're famous or ordinary, bumping into an ex taps into memory, regret, vulnerability, and the human need for closure. For celebrities, though, the stakes are higher. Their encounters don't happen in dimly lit coffee shops or quiet grocery aisles. They happen at red carpets, award shows, live interviews, under lights, cameras, and the judgment of millions. What for most of us is a private discomfort becomes, for them, public theater. And that theater reveals not only who they are, but how they've grown or failed to grow since the breakup.
I love you so much.
Oh, thanks.
Can I give you a hug?
No, thanks.
Please?
No, thanks.
A little one.
Yeah, no, thanks.
Oh.
Why exes carry such weight. To understand why these encounters feel so explosive, we need to acknowledge what exes represent. An ex is not just a person, it's a chapter. They carry within them your old self, your youthful mistakes, your first attempts at intimacy, your failures, and your triumph. To meet them again is to confront your own history. Celebrities are no different. When a star sees their ex on stage, on a red carpet, or across a talk show couch, they're not just looking at another famous face. They're staring at a mirror of who they used to be. And that mirror can be brutal. It shows immaturity, old scandals, vulnerabilities that fans never forget. That's why celebrity reunions make us lean forward. They're not just two people reconnecting. They're two timelines colliding. The public stage of private history. Most of us, if we bump into an ex, can brush it off. A polite hello, a forced smile, a quick escape. But for celebrities, avoidance isn't an option. Cameras catch every glance, every smirk, every awkward laugh. And once recorded, those seconds are replayed endlessly. Consider award shows. Seating charts often place A-listers together. What happens when an actor sits just rows away from the singer they once dated? Or when the camera pans and catches their reaction to an ex winning an award. Suddenly, a small flicker of expression becomes headline news. These moments fascinate us because they collapse the boundary between performance and reality. Celebs can act on screen, but in that split second when they meet an old flame, their expressions are unscripted. The awkward laugh, the stiff handshake, the refusal to make eye contact, these are raw. And in a world obsessed with celebrity polish, rawness feels rare, almost sacred. Awkwardness as a universal language. Why do we find these moments so relatable? Because awkwardness is universal. We've all been there, seeing someone we used to care about and not knowing how to behave. Do we act casual or acknowledge the past? Do we smile warmly or protect ourselves with distance? When we see celebs stumble through those same dilemmas, it humanizes them. Suddenly, the superstar is just like us, fumbling through discomfort, weighed down by old memories. That awkwardness is a kind of emotional equalizer. And awkwardness has its own power. It reveals truth. Smoothness can be rehearsed, charm can be faked. But awkward moments cut through the performance. They remind us that emotions don't disappear just because you're famous. The media's amplification effect, of course. What could have been a fleeting, awkward second often snowballs into a media circus. Paparazzi photos, gossip headlines, Twitter debates. Every angle gets analyzed. Fans take sides, turning awkwardness into narrative. Did you see the way she avoided his hug? Look at how he smiled when she walked in. That's still love. Their body language screams tension. The amplification effect means that a private discomfort becomes a global conversation. And the more awkward the moment, the more viral it becomes. This says more about us than them. We consume these encounters because we project onto them. We turn their awkward reunions into metaphors for our own. They become vessels for our nostalgia, our unresolved stories. When awkwardness becomes storylines, sometimes the awkward reunion doesn't just stay as a clip. It becomes a storyline that follows the celebrities for years. Think of exes who must perform together, act in the same film, or tour in the same music festival. Each new sighting is framed as part of an ongoing saga. This endless recycling shows how much power awkwardness holds in storytelling. Because awkward reunions don't resolve, they linger. They leave open questions. Do they still care? Do they regret? Will they ever reconcile? In this way, awkward encounters function like cliffhangers in a drama. They keep audiences hooked, waiting for the next installment. Power dynamics on display at reunions also expose power dynamics. Who seems more confident? Who avoids eye contact? who looks like they've moved on. In these fleeting interactions, we project entire narratives about success, failure, maturity, or bitterness. For celebrities, this can be brutal. A small stumble, an awkward pause, a nervous laugh can be read as weakness. Meanwhile, an ex who appears graceful or unfazed can be celebrated as the winner of the breakup. These dynamics reveal our obsession with comparison. We don't just watch awkward reunions, we grade them. And in doing so, we reinforce the idea that breakups have winners and losers, that personal growth is visible in seconds, that dignity can be measured by a smile. The pain beneath the humor, we often laugh at these encounters, sharing memes of awkward hugs or stiff smiles. But beneath the humor lies pain. Meeting an ex reopens wounds. It revives memories people might prefer to leave buried. For celebrities, who already live under constant scrutiny, this pain is magnified. Imagine having the hardest breakup of your life, and then having to relive it in public, in front of cameras, with millions of strangers analyzing your every move. What looks like comedy to us might feel like heartbreak to them. Their awkwardness is a form of vulnerability, and vulnerability, once exposed, cannot be taken back. Awkwardness as transformation, yet there's another side to this. Awkward reunions can also show growth. Awkwardness is not always weakness. Sometimes it is the mark of transformation. When celebs manage to greet their ex politely, to laugh off the tension, to survive the encounter with dignity intact, it demonstrates resilience. It shows that they are no longer trapped in the past, that they can acknowledge history without being defined by it. In this sense, awkwardness becomes proof of change. It is the stumble before stability, the reminder that even the most famous humans must face their old selves before moving forward. Case studies in awkward celebrity reunions. When celebrities cross paths with exes, each encounter writes a new chapter in their public narrative. Sometimes the meeting is icy, other times it is unexpectedly warm, and occasionally it is so awkward it becomes immortalized as pop culture legend. These stories resonate not only because of who the celebrities are, but because of what their behavior reveals about time, forgiveness, pride, and the universal struggle to move beyond the past. Here are some of the most talked about examples. Taylor Swift and Joe Jonas. From teenage heartbreak to subtle jabs, back in 2008, Taylor Swift and Joe Jonas had one of the most infamous teen celebrity breakups of all time, reportedly through a 27-second phone call. Taylor immortalized the pain in her music, turning their brief romance into lyrics that fans dissected for years. Years later, when they crossed paths publicly, every gesture was magnified. Would Taylor ignore him? Would Joe apologize? In interviews, Taylor poked fun at the breakup, while Joe remained defensive. For fans, every reunion, even indirect, felt like watching two high school classmates awkwardly bump into each other at a reunion. The awkwardness lay not in yelling or bitterness, but in the unspoken tension. Two people forced to perform maturity while carrying the baggage of teenage drama. Taylor's eventual comment that they had grown up became a symbolic closure. Yet the years of viral jokes about the 27-second phone call show how audiences love awkward reunions not for resolution, but for the way they keep wounds half open. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck. Awkwardness evolving into redemption. If Taylor and Joe represent the sting of youth, Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck, Bennifer, represent the long arc of awkwardness transforming into reconciliation. In the early 2000s, their relationship was the definition of overexposure. Tabloids hounded them, films like Giggly flopped, and their engagement ended under the crushing weight of media pressure. When they parted ways, it seemed final, with both moving on to marriages and children with other partners. But decades later, when they were photographed together again, the world gasped. At first, the vibe was awkward nostalgia. Could exes from such a messy past really rekindle? But as they leaned into the relationship, the awkwardness dissolved into something else: redemption. Their marriage in 2022 turned one of the most awkward celebrity breakups into a fairy tale ending. Yet fans still remember the original awkwardness, the way Ben looked uncomfortable during early red carpet moments, the way tabloids mocked their overexposure. Their story proves awkwardness doesn't always last forever. Sometimes it sets the stage for a more mature love. Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. Twilight Shadow's few reunions carry as much tension as those between Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson. Their romance during the Twilight saga made them one of the most famous couples in the world, adored by millions of fans. But when Kristen was photographed in a cheating scandal, the relationship imploded. When they later appeared at the same award shows or industry events, the awkwardness was palpable. Fans scarred photos for micro-expressions. Was Robert cold? Was Kristen regretful? Did they speak backstage? For many, these moments embodied the rawest form of awkwardness, when a breakup is not just personal, but public humiliation. Their restrained interactions became a lesson in how celebrities survive scandal, not by pretending it never happened, but by enduring awkward reunions with stoicism. The awkwardness never truly disappeared. It lingered, even years later, whenever their names appeared in the same headline, and that lingering tension made their reunions irresistible to audiences. Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston, a cultural obsession. Perhaps the most iconic awkward reunion in modern celebrity history came when Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston reunited at the Exes Awards in 2020. Their divorce in 2005, following Brad's relationship with Angelina Jolie, had left scars in Hollywood gossip for decades. Fans had taken sides, with Team Jen and Team Angelina becoming cultural banners. So when cameras captured Brad holding Jennifer's hand backstage, the internet melted down. The awkwardness wasn't hostile, it was suspenseful. Did the lingering smiles mean forgiveness? Did the touch suggest something more? What made it fascinating was the passage of time. After nearly 15 years, the sight of them together felt surreal, like a movie twist no one expected. It showed how awkward reunions evolve from painful avoidance to cautious civility to nostalgic warmth. For audiences, it was proof that even the deepest wounds might one day soften. Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. Cold distance. Not all reunions lean toward warmth. For Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, who shared a tumultuous on-again, off-again relationship and a brief marriage, reunions have often felt icy. After their split, Miley released songs widely interpreted as commentary on their breakup, while Liam avoided direct public statements. Deepest wounds might one day soften. Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth. Cold distance. Not all reunions lean toward warmth. For Miley Cyrus and Liam Hemsworth, who shared a tumultuous on-again, off-again relationship and a brief marriage, reunions have often felt icy. After their split, Miley released songs widely interpreted as commentary on their breakup, while Liam avoided direct public statements. At industry events where both appeared, the awkwardness was in their distance. They didn't exchange glances, didn't pose for photos, didn't acknowledge one another. For fans, the silence was its own kind of awkwardness, the kind that speaks louder than words. It reminded audiences that not every ex can transition into friend or neutral acquaintance. Sometimes, awkwardness isn't played out in stares and smirks, it's in deliberate avoidance. Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. Unfinished business. Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber defined an era of teen celebrity romance. Their on-again, off-again relationship spanned nearly a decade, leaving a trail of heartbreak songs and tabloid covers. When they crossed paths after their final split, awkwardness was inevitable. Fans scrutinized every lyric, every Instagram post, every accidental sighting. Even at award shows where both were present, their mere proximity sparked endless speculation. Their awkward reunions symbolized something bigger, the impossibility of closure when the entire world is watching. For ordinary people, an ex can fade into memory. But for celebrities like Selena and Justin, the past is immortalized in photographs, lyrics, and interviews. Every reunion becomes a painful reminder that the past is never truly past. Why these stories matter. These case studies show us why celebrity reunions with exes fascinate so deeply. They humanize icons. Even the most glamorous stars stumble when facing their past. They mirror our own lives. We see ourselves in their awkwardness, remembering our own uncomfortable reunions. They reveal growth, or lack thereof. How celebs handle these moments shows whether they've matured, forgiven, or remained bitter. They keep stories alive. Awkwardness doesn't resolve, it lingers, inviting endless speculation. In short, awkward celebrity reunions become pop culture myths because they combine universality with spectacle. They remind us that fame cannot erase vulnerability, and that awkwardness is one of the few emotions that transcends status. The psychology of awkward reunions. Why is it that seeing an ex, even after years, can still send a jolt through the body? Why can a single glance stir up emotions you thought were buried long ago? And why, when we see celebrities face this moment under glaring lights, does it strike such a powerful chord with audiences worldwide? To understand the awkwardness of celebrity reunions, we need to look at the psychology behind them. These encounters are not just social moments. They're battles between memory, identity, emotion, and the human need for resolution. Memory never forgets. The first reason exes feel so powerful is because memory is not neutral. Neuroscience shows us that emotional memories, especially those tied to love, are encoded more deeply than ordinary ones. The brain doesn't just record what happened, it records the feelings. So when someone sees an old flame, the brain replays those feelings as if no time has passed. A celebrity on a red carpet doesn't just see a colleague, They see the person they once laughed with, argued with, kissed, cried over. Their body remembers the old intimacy, even if their mind wants to move on. This is why reunions feel awkward. The present collides with the past. You are no longer the person you were, but the emotions remind you otherwise. For celebrities, that collision is magnified by cameras. The micro-second of recognition, the flash of old emotion, it's captured, replayed, dissected. What for most of us is a private memory becomes, for them, public spectacle. Unresolved attachments. Another reason exes trigger such discomfort is unresolved attachment. Relationships often end without full closure. Words are left unsaid. Apologies are never given. Questions remain unanswered. And so when exes meet again, all that unfinished business surges back. Psychologists call this attachment activation. The brain still associates the person with safety, intimacy, or betrayal, and seeing them reignites the attachment system. Even if you've moved on, your body reacts as though something vital has returned or been threatened. Celebrities illustrate this vividly. Think of Selena Gomez and Justin Bieber. Their breakups played out in public, with fans analyzing every lyric and Instagram post. So when they crossed paths later, the awkwardness wasn't just personal. It was amplified by unresolved questions millions of people carried for them. Did they still love each other? Did they still feel pain? That tension of unresolved attachment made every reunion feel electrified. The ego's fear of comparison. There's also the matter of ego. Seeing an ex forces comparison. How have they changed? Who are they with now? Do they seem happier without me? For ordinary people, this can sting. But for celebrities, the comparisons are relentless. Tabloids place photos side by side. Fans argue about who won the breakup. Journalists ask pointed questions. This ego-driven awkwardness explains why some celebrity reunions feel icy. It's not necessarily hatred, it's self-protection. By avoiding eye contact, by keeping distance, stars protect themselves from the vulnerability of being measured against their past. Brad Pitt and Jennifer Aniston's reunion at the SAG Awards, for example, triggered endless comparison. Who looked more radiant, who seemed more successful, who carried more dignity. For them, a brief handshake became an ego test in the court of global opinion. Identity and the ghost of the old self. Every ex carries a version of you that no longer exists. That's why reunions feel so haunting. You're forced to confront your old self, the person you were in that relationship. For celebrities, this is particularly intense because their old selves are documented. Old interviews, red carpets, photos, gossip columns. Everything is archived. When they meet an ex, they aren't just facing a person, they're facing their own younger image. Kristen Stewart and Robert Pattinson illustrate this perfectly. Meeting years after Twilight, they weren't just exes, they were reminders of their own youth, their own scandals, their own mistakes. Every glance carried the ghost of who they used to be. That is the essence of awkwardness, the tension between the self you are now and the self someone else remembers. The spotlight effect. Psychologists talk about the spotlight effect, our tendency to believe others notice us more than they really do. When you bump into an ex, this effect intensifies. You feel every gesture, every word, every awkward pause is being scrutinized. Now imagine that feeling multiplied by actual cameras, paparazzi, and millions of viewers. Celebrities don't just feel watched, they are watched. Every fidget becomes gossip. Every nervous smile becomes a meme. This is why their awkward reunions seem so heightened. The spotlight is literal. What feels like a private anxiety for us is, for them, broadcast globally. And that makes their restraint, or lack thereof, even more fascinating to watch. The biology of awkwardness. Awkwardness itself is a biological response. It's the brain's alarm system saying, this situation doesn't fit the script. Our social instincts thrive on smoothness, greetings, small talk, predictable behavior. But meeting an ex shatters that script. Suddenly you don't know what to say. Do you act warm, cold, indifferent? That uncertainty triggers stress. Heart rate rises, muscles tighten, speech falters. Awkwardness is simply the body broadcasting, this is unfamiliar, this is risky. For celebrities, that stress is visible, and the more they try to mask it, the more the awkwardness leaks out through forced smiles, stiff body language, hesitant words. That's why audiences can sense awkwardness so easily. It's not imagined, it's biology on display. The universal hook, why we can't look away. So why do we love watching celebrities squirm in front of exes? Because it taps into something deeply universal. Nostalgia, we see our own past in theirs. Schadenfreude, we enjoy seeing the powerful humbled. Hope for closure, we long for signs of forgiveness, regret, or lingering affection. Validation, their awkwardness validates our own. If even megastars can't keep it together, maybe our own fumbling isn't so bad. In other words, celebrity reunions serve as mirrors. They reflect back our own anxieties, but in a way that feels safe. because it's happening to someone else. Growth through awkwardness. Finally, there's the transformative side. Awkwardness doesn't just embarrass, it educates. It shows us where wounds remain, where pride still lingers, where growth has or hasn't happened. For some celebs, reunions show immaturity, icy stares, avoidance, petty jabs. For others, they show healing, warm greetings, polite laughs, mutual respect. Jennifer Lopez and Ben Affleck's story proves awkwardness isn't always permanent. What once felt like a cultural punchline evolved into redemption, reconciliation, even marriage. Awkwardness, in that sense, can be the bridge to growth. It forces people to confront the past until they either heal it or remain trapped in it. The psychology of awkward reunions explains why these celebrity encounters captivate us. They aren't just gossip. They're glimpses into universal human struggles, memory that won't fade, attachments that won't release, egos that compare, identities that clash with their past selves. For celebrities, the awkwardness is magnified by cameras and cultural obsession. But at its core, it's the same as ours. Seeing an ex is seeing unfinished business. It's confronting who you were, who you are, and who you might still be.